So Andy, in 1997 you found yourself in Schoolies Week in the Gold Coast. Why were you there?
Mate, I was running skateboarding clubs in Brizzy for 5 years, and my young skaters got to year 12 and went down the coast. And back in the day, it was a pretty dangerous place. A lot of fights and one-punch incidents, and I was really worried about my young crew that were down there. So I actually went down to look after them. Actually, you gave me a ring to come down.
What happened there? What experience there kind of influenced you most?
Mate, just seeing 30,000 on the Gold Coast and like stuff coming off buildings and kids doing nudie runs down Surfers Paradise and Main Mall, and just seeing hotel managers with these eyes like dinner plates going, how do I look after 400 young people in my building? And being a youth worker, I felt so sorry for them, mate. I went, yeah, look, do you want a hand?
Those hotel managers, do you think were they kind of worried for themselves, worried for the kids, or mixture?
Oh mate, A, B and C, all the above. It's like they're worried about property damage in the buildings, kids doing silly stuff off those verandas, kids vomiting, kids emotional through alcohol, and then also the body corporates as well that they are accountable to. So there's so many issues. It's overwhelming for them.
Yeah. What do you reckon were the values of our community that play out in Schoolies?
Yeah, I think, look, back in the day, our Aussie culture is a lot of socialising around the grog and the alcohol. It's almost like our culture says you must drink to fit. Yeah. You must drink to have a good time. And back in the day, it was all about the drinking and all about waking up passed out under a wheelie bin with peas and carrots on your shirt, and then you've had a good Schoolies. But it's changed, and the culture is changing in such a positive way, and we're seeing a lot of positive shifts in our culture, particularly young Aussies.
So you're saying that today it's not as bad as it was in those earlier years? Oh,
chalk and cheese, absolutely amazing. There's so many more non-drinkers these days. Young people, about 40-50% aren't drinking, and you end up just playing Uno up in the hotel rooms with them these days. But look, the ones that are drinking are still going hard, and now drugs are in play as well. And mix that with a lot of mental health issues, it can get quite sketchy down there. But the majority, they're looking after themselves. They're walking each other home. So much more of a social justice, social consciousness about them. And they're doing our job for us, which is great.
So Andy, why Red Frogs?
Mate, we were crashing parties back in the day. The hotels would have us in the buildings, teams of 4 going floor to floor, looking after kids, passed out in rooms. We're having trouble getting into doors. We'd knock on the doors and they'd go, who are you guys? And it took us about 10 minutes to explain who we were. But we went to a local corner store, got a big bag of these Red Frogs, went back up to the Schoolies building. We knocked on this door. As soon as the door opened, they just went, Red Frogs, dragged us in and just got us into parties straight away.
So how many Red Frogs do you give away now?
Mate, 24 tonnes of Red Frogs, equivalent to about 2 semi-trailer loads of Red Frogs a year we go through all our programs.
Do you have to introduce yourself every year? Like, do they know that you're coming, or is it like the same response to, hey, Red Frogs?
Mate, the recognition is amazing, and we talk to 68,000 in high school education programs, and the first question I ask is, who's heard of Red Frogs? 90% of the hands go up. They all know about us. Brothers and sisters have talked about it, seen us on the media, they've researched us online. Froggies are like nearly the most popular people at Schoolies.
So how many volunteers do you have working with you?
Mate, we have about 4,500 volunteers, predominantly from about 390 different churches of all different denominations, and they supply big teams to come and help out during Schoolies Week and university parties, music festivals, and a whole range of events around Australia.
So why do they volunteer?
The main age group we deal with in volunteers is 18 to 23-year-olds, and most of them have a really high social justice, social welfare bent in them to make a difference in their community and to be culturally relevant in their generation too. And we get a great bunch of young people that come out and volunteer, and it's amazing. They pay to come to volunteer at Schoolies. They pay $300 to clean up vomit, walk kids home, stay up all hours. They're a bunch of legends, and the Red Frog volunteers are just the absolute heroes in this story.
So you've said it's better now than it used to be, but what do those volunteers do?
Oh, look, the dangers are still there. We've seen a 75% drop in sexual assaults over Schoolies weeks, and one of the key things is the walk home teams. We do over 5,000 walk homes during Schoolies, where our teams find Schoolies passed out down the beaches, walking home by themselves, and walk them home safely. We put a GPS tracker on one of our walk home teams. They average about 21 Ks a night. Should be called Red Frog Biggest Loser over that time too. But through that early intervention, harm prevention is so important, and just getting to things just in time, not after time. And we've seen a great reduction in sexual assaults, alcohol intoxes, and all those things because of that early intervention.
Yeah. So this started on the Gold Coast, but where is it now? Is it other states, other countries, other institutions?
Yeah, mate, Schoolies for us is 17 locations in Australia, plus 3 islands in Fiji, Bali. We also do 7 locations in South Africa and also Zimbabwe. But also bigger than Schoolies, universities is our biggest program. We're in about 1,200 events in just about every university in Australia, but our university programs got into New Zealand, South Africa, Wales, Scotland, England, 21 cities in Canada, and now frat houses in the US. So it's about 1.3 million uni students around the world our programs in. We also do music festivals, sporting events, board rider events, anywhere that young people get to, the Froggies are there.
So this obviously is very expensive. The volunteers pay to go, but what other support do you have?
Yeah, look, our biggest supporters are corporates. Companies come in and, like say, Allen's donate 24 tonnes of red frogs. Optus help us with our Red Frog hotline. But also a lot of companies sponsor and donate to our cause. And we have a thing called Friends of the Frog, where companies can become a friend of the frog and donate every month. And then we have our ex-alumni workers. There's like 8,417 ex-workers since 2011 alone. And they're jumping in to just become a friend of the frog for $10 a month. So we have a big supporter base out there, and also through not-for-profits, and then a little bit from government as well.
So when you put all that together, what's an annual budget?
Our budget ranges every year between 1.8 to 2.1 mil we raise. And again, through the generosity of a lot of people that want to make a difference but don't want to be out there cleaning up vomit and walking people home, but still love the work that the Red Froggies do.
Yeah. In the corporates, what motivates them to give to Red Frogs?
I think as a corporate these days, you need to have a high level of social activation and community care, and also a community footprint. And a lot of people are very into cause-driven companies that actually care and actually do something in their world, not just be all about the money, not just be all about profits. And I think there's some really amazing CEOs out there, there's some amazing companies that want to exist for more than just the dollar, to actually make a difference, to make a change in the young generation, and they're investing in their future employees. These are all the future doctors, lawyers, CEOs that we look after for a whole week while they still haven't grown a brain yet. So it's really investing into their future workforce, and they see that investment and a big part of what we do.
Andy, has your motivation changed? You went to Schoolies in 1997 to help the kids that you supported. What's your motivation now?
Yeah, look, it has changed, but the original core thing hasn't changed, where it's all about the one, and it's all about helping the one. And look, even though we look after 70,000 schoolies and 17 locations, it's all about that one you help that makes all the difference, that one kid that you prevent from doing something really, really serious during that time. But for me, I guess it's grown from that initial love of the one to seeing those many ones all around Australia now.
Personally, is faith a part of that for you?
Oh, faith's been a massive journey for me. I come from a non-church background and started going to church when I was 17. I call it like a spiritual wedgie experience, as I got reefed by the big fella saying, Gourley, life's not about your accounting degree, your mates, your Reds memberships. It's actually about him and others. And it totally messed with me that, hey, I need to be thinking about something bigger than myself. And Red Frogs wouldn't exist without that faith experience, without that faith journey, and that incredible experience at 17 for me, which radically changed my life.